my name is Magnolia Heaton. I am a licensed clinical social worker, owner and founder of Love is Healing LLC. Welcome back. And today I have a title, not 100% sure what I'm going to say. The title of this video, I think, is going to be something like other people's children are not more important than your own. Man, recently I've been seeing this theme of, okay, it's like my husband, my child, and myself hanging out with other people. And like, there was this one time where they were comparing their kid to our kid. By which I mean, they were saying negative things about their kid and shaming their kid. And comparing them to like my daughter's good behavior, right? And I was like, one, that's awkward and cringy. Two, that's so mean. That's like one of the number one things that you absolutely don't do as a parent. Because a lot of the time, you do end up seeing the kids being really estranged from the parents of like, oh, my mom, dad, whatever. Sorry, it's super dark. Was really hypercritical or would always compare me to anybody. My siblings, my cousins, whatever, and stuff like that, right? But I mean, like, imagine your mom, dad, whatever parent is like, wow, why can't you be like so-and-so? I mean, as I say that, I'm like, I definitely heard that. And I'm like, that's so messed up. So why do people even do that, right? And if you're a person who does this, okay, let me explain where it tends to come from, right? And then you can make choices. Because once you have information, then you can start to make choices. If you're not aware, you can't really shift much, right? It's my understanding that, with the other example, I guess it was the same thing too. The parents were comparing their kids to my kid. And I'm like, yes, my kid's the best and she's an angel. But also, that's so mean. And like, your kid has a lot of strengths too, right? In the first example, this was the first time that we met the other family, so I was like, my kid's a stranger. It's just kind of weird. I'm just like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's really mean to your child. Also, like, it doesn't logically make sense to compare them to a stranger. You don't know the stranger. Anyways. Okay, so where does it come from? It comes from shame. It's the parent feeling like they need to perform, right? And do really well in whatever it is that they're trying to perform in. Probably literally anything and everything. It's an extreme level of perfectionism. And it's a strong fawn response, so it's like people being really over apologetic, really ultimately for existing, which is sad. Where does that come from? That tends to come from an abusive household, typically a verbally abusive household where like you're not allowed to take up space or anything like that. You have to hide your feelings, hide your thoughts, hide who you really are, because you're not allowed to be who you are, because if you show up and you're vulnerable and honest about who you are, then people are going to judge you, shame you, belittle you, make fun of you, bully you, right? Namely your family, which obviously, that's probably what hurts the most, right? Sad. And so that's where it tends to come from, a place of perfectionism and the associated shame with that, right? And so, okay, now that we know that, what are the feelings that tend to come up? Obviously shame. Also a lot of anxiety, right? Of like, what would you say? Emotions. Okay, anxiety. Fear. Typically fear of rejection, right? And like, I guess so. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't prepare all that much for this video. so those are the emotions. And then the thoughts that tend to come probably are something like, oh my gosh, they're judging me. What are they going to say about me? Oh, my kid's messing up again. And so typically whatever parents do, whatever comes out of their mouth toward their children is how they feel about themselves, right? So if like grace comes out, patience comes out, understanding comes out, they understand on some level that children require that, and also they're able to hold that space for themselves and for their children, right? And so, I mean, yeah, it's hard. I can imagine it's a lot of pressure. I remember with my first child, I was a lot like that, right? Like, I'm grateful that I didn't tend to verbalize it to her, but I did, like, worry a lot about what other people thought, or I'd apologize for her, or, oh, I'm so sorry, it's because she's shy. And, like, if you were to go to a party or something with someone, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, my friend's just shy. If someone said that about me, I'd feel awkward, and I'd probably be mad. And even more embarrassed, right? So, like, I think that's important to know, that these are the things that we evoke in our children when we behave this way, right? And it doesn't have to be even your children. It could just be children that you're around, your nieces, nephews, whatever, right? What else? So then the behaviors that come out are like apologizing for really the child's existence, or behaviors which are developmentally appropriate, right? If a child's having a tantrum, it's like, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Like, they don't have the words, or they don't have the tools, or if a child's being hyperactive or asking a lot of questions. I'll just say this briefly. If a child's being hyperactive, they're feeling ungrounded, so they're likely feeling anxious. And yeah, honestly, anxiety is what it tends to be. Maybe overstimulated and overwhelmed, but it still is anxiety ultimately. And so something that you could do to support them in that moment, be like, oh, it seems like you're wiggly, right? Or you're seeming a little anxious, or something like that, but like validating and speaking to it. Maybe the child's aware, maybe they're not. And if they are cool, they'll be like, yeah. And if they're not, then that's helping them be more mindful, right? Practicing mindfulness skills so that they can meet their needs. It can also be helpful to, like, if they're open to physical pressure, like having grounding pressure, like giving them a pretty tight hug if you can, especially squeezing their arms together. Or you could, like, I wish I could demonstrate, but I'm holding the light with my other hand. Like, let's say that their arms are in front of you, right? So you squeeze the top by the shoulder and squeeze the bottom by the elbow. And then you would squeeze the top by the elbow. Sorry. You would squeeze, and then at the forearm, you would squeeze the top of the forearm and the bottom of the forearm. So top of arm, bottom of arm, top of forearm, bottom forearm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On both hands. Several times. And just kind of check in. If you can keep it rhythmic, that's even better. Because you're connecting, and because it's grounding touch, and the pressure helps, and it's rhythmic. So it has, in some ways, the same effect of like if they were in utero, right? Like, yeah, like moving around in there, or like if they were being rocked or something like that. So it can be really helpful, and it's also just a sign of like, hey, I'm here with you, right? You could give them a compliment too, if you wanted, an authentic one. Hi, I see you cleaned up after yourself. Or, whoa, I see that you are taking deep breaths. Anything, right? That could be really helpful for the child, instead of comparing them to other children. Period. Also, I would say, just if you are comparing them to other children, I really would highly, 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 highly encourage you not to, because that tends to breed resentment toward other children, especially if it's a particular child in the child's life, like a twin, a cousin, another sibling, a neighbor, someone that they see consistently. They're going to start to build resentment toward that child. Also, they're going to cultivate that and have it be incorporated into their inner voice. So like, if for example someone were to tell me as a child, like, oh, why do you always wear braids, why is your hair colored, oh my gosh, why can't your hair just be brown, right? Then as I grow up, I'm gonna think, man, why is my hair always braided? Like, why is it always colored? Like, why can't it just be brown? Right? And then I'm gonna start building self-hatred, low self-esteem, low self-worth, and things like that. It really, really, really does make such a huge impact, the words that we say, not only to children, but to each other and to ourselves. And ultimately, that's what I'm trying to like invite you to do, is do your best to move into a space of like, I want to say positivity, but really moreover what I want to say is support and validation, because that's more intentional, and like really that's the whole point of it, right? And intentionality. Also, like, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, right? Take a deep breath and be like, I have had to do that a lot too, right? Take a deep breath and grab a drink of water, take a deep breath and take a lap, things like that, right? All those things can help. It gives you a moment to self-regulate. Yeah. I feel like I said a lot in there. But like, yeah, I mean, I guess too, on another hand, if you do feel like other people's children are more important than your own, why would be a question I would invite you to ask yourself. Why? Is it because, I mean, typically if you feel like other people's children matter more than your own, it's like other people's needs matter more than my own needs. And if that's the case, why? Who conditioned you to be that way? Also, if you're not functioning well, if you're not taking care of yourself, etc., then like, you can't take care of the ones that you're trying to take care of. And so I would invite you to reflect on that. And let me see. Do your best to find a space of neutrality, because like right now it's like other people's needs matter more than my own. Other people's children matter more than my own children. Okay, well, can we shift to my children are equally important as others? And then ultimately, and just keep repeating those patterns, right? Those thought patterns. As you do that, your body's going to start to believe it, your emotions are going to get in line, and your behaviors are going to get in line. And then ultimately, can you get to the point of like, maybe my children matter as much as others, and my children's well-being is my priority and responsibility. Something like that. I think that could be helpful in just, again, making those small shifts. Because, again, like, where our attention goes, energy grows. It's been so long since I really said those kinds of phrases. Anyhow, I hope that was helpful. At minimum, thought-provoking, right? I want to say, too, it really does make such a difference. You can see in children whose parents are attentive and whose parents play with them and whose parents speak life into them versus death and curses over them, really. Like, I invite you to, not just with your children, but all the people in your life, like, what are you speaking over people? Are you speaking blessings and blessings over people and life into people, or are you cursing them? Are you wishing them ill will, right? And if so, even then, like, check in, right? Again, practicing that mindfulness of like, what am I saying? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? And get curious and get to know yourself a bit better, right? Love is truly healing. And when we spread love, speak love into other people, speak life into other people, it makes such a big difference. And I promise you, that's what people remember. There's that phrase of like, people don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And that's so true, honestly, right? your kids are gonna remember how you made them feel. Your boss, your supervisors, your, I don't know, your coworkers, your friends, they're gonna remember how you made them feel, right? And at the end of the day, that's kind of how we leave this world. We don't leave with anything other than like our relationships and maybe the memories of us. So ultimately, too, this ties back to your legacy and your character. How do you want people to perceive you? What do you want them to say about you? Right? In a non-egotistical and overly fixated way, just in a neutral way, what do you want people to say about you? And like, if you're trying to break generational curses, you can only do it through love. You can't force a kid to behave or things like that. And in fact, speaking these curses over these kids and comparing them to others, again, that cultivates a negative self-worth, a negative self-talk, that anxiety, and then even depression, even estrangement. They feel like they're not loved. They feel like they're not supported. And it creates so many barriers in the relationship. These are the people who end up feeling suicidal. Because, like, no one cares about me, no one loves me, no one supports me, right? All people do is criticize me and compare me to other people. This is what happens, right? And if you've done it already, fine. You can change it at any point in time. So I invite you, if you're interested in making any of the shifts, go back, watch this video, like rewatch it, go back a few seconds, okay, this little snippet or whatever, let me go back and incorporate this. It really makes a difference, and you can start anywhere, and you can start small, and over time, again, that energy, that attention, and intention, it's all gonna grow. Have anything else to say? Maybe I'll make another video in the future regarding like a nurtured heart approach and like kind of things that you consider your child and things. But again, this applies to all relationships. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you want a book or have any trauma-informed trainings, consultations, anything like that, from our content, anything like that, just more info. We have a blog, we have so many things, everything's kind of tied to each other, but everything's like slightly nuanced, right? Of course, depending on the platform. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Our handles at Love is Healing LLC. And we have our website, loveishealingllc.com. And that's all. If you are interested in commenting, we would love your feedback, right? As long as it's kind and respectful, we'll keep it up. If there's any questions that you have below that are sincere, happy to have them also. Please like, share, and subscribe, and support our channel. Thank you.